we start a conversation about the testimony of Witness E at the Madlanga Commission because it was quite important. And the reason it was important was not only because Witness E accused Senzo Mchunu, who is the police minister on special leave, of basically trying to get him to lie before the commission and say or make a statement that is more favorable towards the minister. But it was interesting because it really speaks about the murder of Sindiso Magaqa, right? And what appears to be the influence of crime intelligence in that. So Witness E made it very clear yesterday that he has in the past warned that there are some crime intelligence officers that were involved in the killing of Sindiso Magaqa. He also said that he had warned those in authority, I think about 2 weeks or so before Sindiso Magaqa was murdered, and obviously those warnings were not heeded. And what I'm going to do now is, before we speak to Thabiso Zulu, who is a whistleblower, who is in fact a friend of Sindiso Magaqa. He himself is a whistleblower and speaks on behalf of the Magaqa family on all matters related to the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee. Before we speak to him, I want to play you a voice note of Clement Manyathela, who's a legal journalist with News 24. He was listening attentively yesterday to the testimony of Witness E. So she's going to explain to us, just so that we sort of frame our conversation before we speak to Thabiso. She's going to explain to you why this Witness E is, as we speak, in witness protection. And he's been there since, my understanding is 2019. She's also going to explain what he has said in the past, Witness E, what he has spoken about in as far as the involvement of crime intelligence officers in the murder of Sindiso Magaqa is confirmed. So let's start with Clement Manyathela, and then I'm going to bring in Thabiso Zulu in a moment.
Witness E is in the witness protection program because he blew the whistle on the alleged involvement of high-ranking crime intelligence officers in the murder of ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa in 2017. He has told the Madlanga Commission that he was made aware through his work as an undercover police officer that the murder was going to happen 2 weeks before it occurred, because he had infiltrated a cash in transit ring and actually recruited one of the gang's leaders as an informant for crime intelligence. On the evidence that he gave to the commission, this informant was given access to an AK-47 and a vehicle that was ultimately used in the murder of Magaqa. He said he had 2 weeks in order to raise alarm about the pending murder, and he had urged his commanders or his superiors to essentially take back the gun and the vehicle from this informant to prevent the murder. He said that warning fell on deaf ears, and as a consequence, he is now a witness in the criminal investigation into Magaqa's murder. We know, of course, that one of those implicated in that murder has now turned state witness in July 2025, last year, just I think 2 days or a day after Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, of course, gave that explosive press conference about alleged criminal infiltration of South African law enforcement. So the Madlanga story is very linked to the Mkhwanazi story. And of course, it raises a number of questions about the alleged involvement of crime intelligence officers in a very high-profile murder.
All right, so that is Clement Manyathela just giving us context and laying the foundation for this conversation now with Thabiso Zulu, who is a whistleblower, joining us on the line. Thabiso, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and to your listeners, and how are you?
Sharp. Were you surprised at all with what Witness E had to say to the Madlanga Commission yesterday? I mean, he seems to more or less be aligned with what we have known, that there's always been a plot to take Sindiso Magaqa out.
No, we were not surprised, and it was not a revelation for us. was not a revelation for me and the family. Yesterday, we reflected on the matter after witness E had spoken. And we are not gullible. We are not having a short-term excitement around his testimony. And we are not suffering from any naivety around it. We have always known that the crime intelligence was involved. We have always known that the police were involved. We have always known that senior politicians were involved. Remember the fact that even among the accused who are currently in the dock, there are two former policemen, specialized unit of TRT. One of them is a state issue now because he's in the place of people that are mentally challenged. Then the other one is still before the dock. So we've always known that we've said this publicly before. Sindiso Magaqa was not only killed by political gangsters and assassins, but he was killed by the state.
So are you hopeful, I mean, and is the family as well, the Magaqa family, hopeful that we will get to that point where there are senior officers that are not just the officers but politicians who are held responsible here? Because it's almost like there is, as you say, it's not a surprise. There's an alignment over people who knew that there was a plot, and there are some really important senior people who were involved in this case. Now, how hopeful are you that whoever said we need to get this guy out is going to be held accountable, so that it's not just the officers and the people who pulled the trigger, but also if there are politicians who are involved, they are also held accountable?
We are aware, or I am aware from the political circles that one of the people, remember that the people that are implicated are former apartheid killing machines. They were brought before the TRC for having killed revolutionaries and the people that were fighting for our own liberation, especially in Swaziland. Then they were given amnesty. Then they went back to the police, they continued. So they are killing machines. They've been killing revolutionaries before. I'm aware that one of them, the true circles, that he is saying if he gets charged, he is not going to go down alone. He was going to go down with a lot of politicians, because this was not the first killing. He has been involved in a lot of other things that he has done for politicians. That's why politicians and senior people are making it very hard to arrest these people. The state has been sitting in the affidavit of witness E for the last 8 years. They've never arrested these police, right? I know witness E by name, which I'm not going to reveal. We have had his affidavit for some time. So the state has been having his affidavit for some time. So what that says, the state is not willing to arrest him.
Sure.
I mean, it's not willing to arrest them, because it's not only one. There are two that are being named, but I know that there is a third one, who is the one who signed for the AK-47 and the car.
And that person, in your knowledge, is someone in crime intelligence?
Is someone in crime intelligence. He's senior. He's acting in a certain province. He's in the acting head of crime intelligence in a certain province. He's the one who signed for the AK-47. He's the man who refused that crime intelligence must do a threat assessment on me when I appeared on the Madlanga Commission. The other person who is involved within crime intelligence, who was a captain at the time, whom witness is referring to, is working in the same office with a crime intelligence officer by the name of Musamula, who have been making sure that I don't get joy in life. He has been opening cases against me. I will be arrested, and NPA will decline to prosecute. I will be rounded up at night. I will be beaten up in front of my family. My mother will be insulted with the P or the F word. It's there. It's in the recordings. It's there in a video. It's known. And what is the most disappointing thing, which is a serious indictment against this country and its government, is that we are having a situation where the NPA under Advocate Shamila Batoy, the Hawks under former retired the General Libya, I've been pleading with them for more than 8 years. Investigate Mzimkhulu Memorial Hall, because that is what Sindiso died for. It doesn't serve any purpose to keep on saying you are fighting against corruption, but you can't investigate that hall of shame which caused a loss of so many lives. Mtutuzi Shibas, Sindiso Magaqa, Jabumsia was shot but she survived. Mtsigi was shot and she survived. Former Speaker Kaya Thobela was shot and killed. All that happened because of Mzimkhulu Memorial Hall of Shame. I have lived a life like a vagrant all these years, just because I've been fighting for justice. But this is the last one for completeness sake. You are having a situation where I wrote a letter to Advocate Shamila Batoy in year 2020. It was in February. You know when she responded to me? In 2025. 5 years down the line, she never responded to all my letters. She only said, after 5 years, we are doing something about it.
Which makes it interesting, Thabiso, because anybody who, in fact, Googles your name will see that you've been talking about this for many years. And now what's interesting is that you also have politicians who now want to be seen like they've always been interested in justice. I mean, I wonder what you think when you hear of, one, what you've just said now, when you've got these senior prosecutors, the head of the NPA, that you wrote to and took so long to respond to you, or you hear of the story of how someone like Senzo Mchunu was also trying to get a hold of Witness E to understand what he has said before. I mean, all of this information they've had before, but it's almost like when it happens now, they want to be seen like, oh, we've actually done something about it, when they haven't moved at all.
Look, the Sindiso Magaqa family have been failed by everyone and anyone who had to act. We said these things. I spoke in the memorial service. I mentioned the crime intelligence. I had no bodyguards or armed people behind me. I took an opportunity to say, let whatever is going to happen, but I'm going to tell the whole world. I told the whole world. My story and the story of Sindiso Magaqa have always been linked right after I was killed. And we are having a situation where people wanted to use this for their own benefit. But I'm not interested in the palace politics of the Senzo Mchunus and the armed generals. I'm not in any of their camps. I'm in the camp of Sindiso Magaqa. That's all that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in all the periphery the issues. I'm interested in Sindiso Magaqa's family getting justice. His mother is frail. We had a long meeting yesterday. We reflected on a lot of things. We feel very disappointed on a lot of things. And we don't think that the president, who always talks about corruption, he's walking the talk. Here is a situation where his armed forces, his law enforcement agencies are involved in carrying out a state-sponsored killing of someone who was exposing corruption. They've not been arrested for the past 8 years. What do you call that?
Thabiso Zulu, thank you so much for making time for us. And I mean, your frustration is absolutely understandable. I remember I started speaking to Thabiso Zulu back, when was it? Probably was it just around COVID time? But this is someone who has spoken for, in fact, in 2018. Yeah. Right? 2018 already. And that just tells you that it's that long. And probably even more than that he's been saying the same things that we are now hearing now. And there are politicians who are going to act surprised. Thabiso Zulu is Sindiso Magaqa's friend and whistleblower, speaks on behalf of the Magaqa family. It's 24 now after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
All right, let's quickly find out what this testimony from Witness E means for the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, who's on special leave. Dr. Chris de Kock is an independent crime violence analyst and former police officer. Thanks for making time for us. Dr. de Kock, good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and to the listeners.
Let's start with what Witness E said somehow suggesting that this Minister of Police who's on special leave, Sindiso Magaqa, kept on calling him, wanting to somehow coerce or get him to lie before the Madlanga Commission. Could that come back to haunt Sindiso Magaqa?
Oh, yeah. First, I want to say, look, everything which is said for the last 3.5 months is allegations. We still have to be proven in court. But I think if we listen to, and I listened to the whole testimony of Witness E, I think it's quite damning to the minister, and it will definitely haunt him somewhere in the future. And I think even the commission may decide to call him back, because clearly this is a very serious. This is actually tampering with the witness and with evidence. And I think it's quite serious. I really think it's very serious. And not only Witness E, even what the Major General said yesterday, because even there it is clear that the minister is using his position, or was using his position, to try and influence political issues.
And where do you draw the line there? Because some ministers will argue that, well, I came into the office, and let's use the Sindiso Magaqa case, for instance, as an example. A minister could argue that there hasn't been movement on this case, and that's why I took an initiative to approach either the KZN commissioner or the deputy commissioner to find out what's going on and to be updated on this case. But then someone else could also argue, well, you can get that information from the National Police Commissioner. So what I'm asking is, where do you draw the line so that the ministers themselves, who are the political overseers and not really involved in operational matters, can't just justify their involvement by saying, oh, but I wanted updates because I wanted these cases to move?
No, if the minister wants updates on anything, operations, cases, investigation of cases, everything, he has to work through the National Commissioner. Actually, he will inquire from the National Commissioner. That is how it was when I was there in the police. He will send a request to the National Commissioner. The National Commissioner will then contact the relevant officers and work through the system. I mean, through the different heads and so on, down to the specific investigator or the specific intelligence operator, and get the information from there. Can't work any other way. A minister can't just phone, and I mean, the question is still, where did he get this guy? And this Witness E is in witness protection for the last also 8 years. Now, where did he get his number? That is strange. And even he gave some evidence that his number, because of his undercover situation, changed very regularly.
Yeah. Are we ever going to get have stability in the SAPS, Dr. de Kock? I mean, my goodness. Are we ever going to have a minister who gets along and has the support of the national commissioner, and the provincial commissioners get along, and you don't have a crime intelligence head who's fighting with the national commissioner, or a provincial head who's got issues with that commissioner, or the minister, or vice versa? Are we ever, and what do you think is going to take for us to have a functional SAPS that only focuses on protecting South Africans, which must be their primary focus, and not involved in just these catfights?
Well, this is going to be a very difficult and long process. I think we can go there. First, you have to defactionalize. You have to take politics out of the police. Since the police became politicized, and you have different factions, and it all started basically in crime intelligence. It started in crime intelligence in the late, just around the World Cup, just before the World Cup. It started this politicization of and the factionalism of crime intelligence, and that then went through the whole of the police. And I think you have to get rid of those political factions get a neutral police service and professional police officers, professional heads, professional provincial commissioners, then we can go there. And that will make a massive influence on crime.
Yeah.
If I can just say this, and I've said it before, I think, to you specifically. In the years 2003 to up to the World Cup, we had tremendous success against most crimes, but especially against murder, which is, one of the most stable crime tendencies, or the most trustworthy crime tendencies. And we had that success because there was unity in the police service. There were lots of unity, lots of professionalism in the police service, and in crime intelligence specifically. And that is how we got crime trends down in those years.
And look at where we are now. Let's hope those days of old will be back, where there's unity in the force, in the service. Dr. Chris de Kock, thank you so much for making time for us.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.